Welcome to From Paycheck to Portfolio. This is a masterclass for mid-career women physicians. I'm going to spend time with you today showing you how you can turn today's income into wealth that makes work optional for you. Okay, and I'm so happy. I'm always happy to talk about our wealth. So, what we're going to cover today is the exact framework, the specific steps that I used to move from having multiple six figure debt, a lot of non sufficient fund fees in the bank, not managing my money well, to growing a multiple seven figure portfolio where I get on a call with my financial advisor. I'm directing her. Our family's wealth is growing repeatedly month over month. I'm invested into real estate. This is the framework that I used. There are four parts to the framework, and that's what we'll cover today. The first part is financial authority, where you step into control of your wealth decisions, starting with knowing what your money is doing today. What's the current state? What's going on with your money right now? Very simply, very easily. The second part of the framework is debt elimination. And if you've been holding on to debt for too long, which a lot of us do, I mean, as women physicians, we're intimately familiar with student loans, other types of debt. We'll look at a debt free mindset and how that can help you become debt free quickly, most efficiently. The third part of the framework is wealth reserves. We'll define what that is and talk about how you can build a multi-million dollar portfolio by paying attention to that, your wealth reserves. This is really foundational. While we're talking about wealth reserves, I'm going to offer you a simple investing approach. Again, this is the approach that I use to grow my own portfolio and what I use with my clients. We'll also talk about a legacy blueprint, and I'm going to define legacy in maybe a different way than you've thought about it before, that will help you to create an intentional legacy for you, your family, for your community. And then finally, after I recap what we cover during our time together, I am going to share the steps that you can take to work with me. If you're done with trial and error, you know you need help, you know you want to become debt free, you're not sure how, I'll help you get there very quickly. So, again, we're going to spend the majority of our time today talking about how to build wealth reserves, and I'm going to show you a very simple approach to getting there. If you wait with me till the end, I'm offering you a bonus just for being here, just for watching this masterclass. If you're here, let me guess, you might be a physician, middle of her career, and you've been in it, sacrificing, using all the knowledge you learned in medical school and residency to help patients, and you have a vision of having more leisure, financial security, six figures in the bank, retirement funds that are growing very predictably, real estate investments. You maybe have some, want some more, or you don't have any, you want to know how to start. But you struggle with debt and you struggle with growing multiple seven figure wealth. It doesn't seem guaranteed when you hear people talking about multiple millions like I'm doing today. It's not even believable for you. You're tired of overwhelm. When you look at your bank accounts, you feel overwhelmed. You look at the balances, they're not where you think they should be. You're dreaming of an early retirement. You're feeling insecure, unsure about if you can get to an early retirement, have enough to support your family, enough to support the lifestyle that you're living. Maybe you've just handed your money off. You go to work, you work all day, you come home, you hand the money off. My husband can do it better. My brother can do it better. The financial advisor can do it better. My sister does it better. um, you know, if you're here, you're well paid. We often assume that we're not. We think we need to go earn more, work harder, but we're well paid as women physicians. You're good at saving. You're not a spendthrift, but when it comes to your wealth, you're not leading. You don't know how to lead. You don't know how to help. So you're neither CEO of your money nor co-CEO when you take that paycheck home. And you're not sure how to make the safest right moves, right? You may even be stuck in, I have to do it perfectly. I have to, start a college fund, but I need to do it with perfection. I can't misstep, choose the wrong state. And so you're not doing anything differently. The real problem is not that you're under earning. The real problem is not that you don't know how, but you haven't built a strategy, an investing strategy, saving strategy that makes your wealth inevitable, that causes your wealth to be just growing in the background and producing income for you. The longer you wait, the more it costs you. The more it costs you financially. There's interest you haven't earned, and there is financial security and peace that you could have that's unrealized, right? You're living in stress that you're not even aware of, because frankly, when you become debt free for the first time, when you get to that first million, it creates a sense of ease that if you haven't known it, like it's time. But if you don't have a plan, you are protracting that path to your retirement. You're making it longer. And if you're here, the opportunity for us is that we're smart women. We know how to execute a plan. We are running things at work. We're bosses. We're teaching residents, we're teaching medical students, we're teaching fellows. And we have enough earnings to build this multi-million dollar portfolio. We just don't know how. And so the opportunity today is for you to start doing things in a way that makes your wealth easy and makes it inevitable. I love talking with my community, so please reach out to me in a LinkedIn chat. Who's currently leading your investments? Is it you? Is it a shared responsibility, or have you already delegated to somebody else? Um, why would you listen to me? Why? I'm a physician like you. I don't have an MBA. I don't have financial degrees. And that's a really important point, because you don't need financial degrees. You don't need a master's in finance to use your own income and create multiple million-dollar wealth. Um, I've made lots of mistakes, and I love the fact that in spite of having made those mistakes, in spite of having held on to debt too long, I was still able to grow a multi-million dollar portfolio that's still growing, right? I'm not in it every single day. It's doing its thing in the background. Um, I did all of this while being a mom, while being a wife. I live my life well. We take vacations, we spend time together. My two older kids are already in college. Their college funds are funded well, right? I buy cars in cash. And now I teach women physicians how this is totally possible for you, right? I didn't even do it right. I didn't do it right, but I want to teach you how you can, use your time to grow this portfolio and have a debt-free life. We deserve nothing less. I'm creating as many women millionaires as I can in this work. So let's get into it. So the first part of this framework is financial authority. And this is where you gain the best understanding of your money today, where you know what is going on, you know what your net worth is, you know your spending plan that you created, right? Financial authority. Sometimes what prevents us from having this gravitas, this understanding, this confidence around our money are these thoughts. I don't need to be deeply involved. Everything's covered, so I'm fine. I had a client tell me that once, right? I don't need to track all of this. This is too complicated. And, those thoughts are completely understandable. It makes sense. I mean, we have done so much to create a life where we are secure. You have a roof over your head. Your family is eating, you've got food in your mouth, but you know that your future is not as secure. When I ask, when will you retire? In what year? A lot of us don't have an answer for that question. You don't have a full picture of your finances, and we can do better than that. You know that your financial authority needs work if this is you. If you go to your savings account and you know you've been saving, you have a goal of saving tens of thousands, but you visit your savings account and it looks more like this. You're in a cycle of saving to spend. If that's you, then what you need to focus on is your financial authority, where you feel grounded, where I know exactly what I have. I direct my money, I direct where it goes each month. I'm actively building my future, whether that's saving, investing, I'm actively creating my future. When you can say that with certainty, security about all the aspects of your finances, then you know you have financial authority covered. And let me just define a couple of terms and talk a little deeply, more deeply about them. So when I talk about net worth, which is part of having your financial authority, that's all your assets, their value minus the value of your liabilities, anything that you owe, any debt that you have. Your assets are those accounts in banks and brokerage accounts, equity in real estate, equity in the home you live in, equity in your investment real estate portfolio, and your spending plan. These things are foundational, right? If I'm talking to a woman physician about her wealth, about the health of her wealth, and she says, yeah, I mean, we spend money every month, we do okay. We're not overspending, we're good. I don't know what comes in really, and I don't know how much we spend. I know that that woman is leaving money on the table. She's leaving thousands on the table, more than likely. Your spending plan is simple, your monthly income minus your monthly expenses. That is financial authority. And I want to share this story just to show you the power of that authority, of knowing where you are. I worked with an academic hospitalist leader, and she and her husband made a great income. They had no spending plan. They were investing, they owned real estate. It was all managed by her husband. She wanted to participate, but she didn't know how, and that's why we ended up working together. She just didn't know where to start. It was all confusing, complicated through her eyes. And when we got to the part after working together where we were going to be doing her spending plan, she said, all our needs are covered. Why does this even matter? Why do I need to sit down and look at what's coming in, what's going out? After about 4 weeks, we created a simple spending plan, monthly spending plan together. And she discovered more than $10,000 a month surplus. Let me say that again, more than $10,000 a month, every month, that before was not optimized, was not directed intentionally. So now we discovered that she was able to fund her kids' college fully with easy, no problem, invest with intention. And of course, during our time working together, she learned how to invest and how to assess investments. And this made her giving more aligned. And she had really big goals for how she wanted to give and impact her community. Her retirement timeline was not 25 years as she previously thought, but 10 years. And this happened because she moved from being a passive participant in her finances to being fully in control in the driver's seat with her husband. And, I also want to stress that this did not involve picking up more shifts, moonlighting, picking up more projects. This was just using what was already coming into the household, but knowing where it was going, understanding what was left over and being intentional with it. Do you know your exact net worth today? And again, I would love to see a DM from you, love to meet you. Send me an email. I promise I'll respond. Let me know yes, no, or your approximate net worth. So financial authority is the first portion of the framework. Debt elimination is the second. And this part is so crucial because too long we sit on debt. Many, many, many women physicians, myself included, were intimately familiar with debt. Student loan debt after medical school is hundreds of thousands commonly. But we sit with it. We get comfortable with it. We think the debt payments are manageable, so it's fine. I remember when I got my first attending job, my student loan payments were equal to my mortgage payments, and it did not sit well with me. I couldn't get rid of that debt fast enough. I mean, I tried, it took me way too long till I figured it out. But the other thoughts we have about debt are, if I'm approved, then I can afford it. So I want some furniture. I go to the furniture store, apply for a line of credit, and I'm approved, so I can afford it. And the other thought we have is this won't really set me back. These are some of the thoughts that we accommodate, that we entertain, that allow us to hold on to debt for too long. With debt elimination, we allow ourselves to have access to our full paycheck so we can invest optimally, right? So we're not investing a portion of what we should invest. We're not putting some of what the kids need into college, but we're fully invested while enjoying our lives because we're not making those thousands of dollars of debt payment. We avoid interest payment instead of paying interest to Chase and Capital One and Bank of America, right? We're paying interest to ourselves, which helps our wealth grow faster. Really, it's the only way to do it is to make interest payments to yourself, pay yourself the car note. And when we're debt free, we put ourselves in the best position for all circumstances. Life is going to come at us. We might have job loss for any number of reasons. We might face retirement. It could be worse. We could lose someone who's contributing income to the household. Or we might want to do something for ourselves. We might want to take a sabbatical, right? Travel, learn more, take some time off for no reason. It's always like, what's going wrong? Why do you want time off? No, I just want time off because I want a space in my life for me to develop, to breathe a bit, right? And all of this is more possible, more easily done when we're debt free instead of when we're hampered by debt payments. So that mindset about the debt being okay, that allows us to hold on to debt too long. And this is another thing that causes us to live with debt too long is scattered effort. Focused strategy will always beat scattered effort. What does scattered effort look like? It looks like what I did when I was starting out with debt and trying to get rid of it, not knowing how. I was investing for the kids' college. At the same time, I was trying to put money into retirement. At the same time, I was trying to become debt free from six-figure debt. At the same time, I was trying to save for vacation. I was trying to hit all the stops, do everything that I was told I needed to do. And because of that, I was not laser focused on my debt. When I became laser focused on my debt, I was able to pay off 100K in 7 months. So we talked about financial authority, what your current money picture is, and having confidence and authority over that. We talked about debt elimination, and now we're talking about wealth reserves, right? This is the meat of it, the fun. I'm going to go through a little bit of math that's easy peasy, you won't believe it, and show you some tools you can use to bolster your wealth reserves and look at your wealth reserves. So when I'm talking about wealth reserves, I'm talking about our investments, our assets, brokerage accounts, what's in the bank, saving, putting money in the bank month over month builds security. So you look at your bank account savings and you're like, wow, I have 70K saved. I have 300K saved. That builds a feeling of security for some of us. But when we graduate from saving to investing, that builds wealth and it builds freedom. It builds options. And the mistake some of us make is that we stop at security. We never get to that wealth and freedom. So let me know. Send me a LinkedIn DM or email me. Do you feel confident about your investments? Yes, somewhat, or no? And I'm inviting you to email me. My email is in the communication that you got this replay in. You got this replay in an email. So respond and let me know. Do you feel confident about your investments? Wealth reserves. So let's walk through this scenario. There's a 40-year-old physician. She's earning $300,000 a year. She's investing 15%, which is what I recommend, 15 to 20% consistently invested year over year. So she's investing that 15% of her annual income, which amounts to $45,000. And she does so for 20 years. What is the result? What's the impact of that on her wealth? So first, let's look at what happens after 15 years of doing this. I use a tool. It's a compound interest investing calculator. And that tool lives at investor.gov. And I like this tool because it allows me to put in like a variable range just in case the earned interest is, if I'm off by 2%, off by 1%. I play with calculators a lot. So here's one of them, investor.gov. And in the scenario that we laid out, our woman physician is starting off with $200,000 as the initial investment. And I chose that number because of what I'm learning women physicians have saved so far in their career when they get to mid-career. They'll have 50K saved, 100K, 300K. So for this hypothetical example, we're using 200K. Again, she's putting in 15% consistently. So that $45,000 is about 3,300, 33 every month. And the length of time she's investing in mutual funds is 15 years. Of course, mutual funds are an organized group of individual stocks that have been pre-selected, either pre-selected by a person who manages the fund or pre-selected by like a computer algorithm in the case of electronically chosen funds. So over 15 years, she's investing in mutual funds. Initial investment 200K, 3,300 a month, and she's earning 10%, which is absolutely doable, easy, maybe less than I recommend, right? And let's say she's off by 2%. So maybe she overestimated by 2%, or maybe she underestimated by 2%. what happens after 15 years? Well, after 15 years, she has 2.1 million. And again, if that's earning 10% on average every year, then every year she's making $210,000. And here's what the variance looks like. If she underestimated and she really made 12% a year, then she has 2.5 million. And on average, every year, she's making 250K, $250,000. And if she overestimated, then she has 1.7 million after 15 years. So this depends on how consistent she is. Of course, it depends on market conditions, but this is the result of consistent investing. The power of compound interest. So now let's look at what these same numbers look like after 20 years. So we haven't changed the initial investing amount. She's still putting in $3,333 every month. She does so though for 20 years, earning 10% plus or minus 2%. After 20 years, she has $3.6 million. And on average, every year, that money is producing $360,000. If she overestimated, she has 2.7 million. And if she underestimated, she has $4.8 million, right? Which is double what she had at 15 years, just 5 years later. Her money has doubled, right? So, where your money lives matters. And this is content for a whole other talk, these different accounts. But in brief, a high yield savings account is a bank account that you might choose for holding liquid money, liquid savings like your emergency fund. A 401k is your retirement fund if you work for a for-profit organization. 403b is the kind of retirement account you might have, like me, if you work for a nonprofit, a not-for-profit organization or health system. 457 is delayed compensation that you can invest. It can grow just like a 401k, just like a 403b, before taxes are paid. A Roth account. So for a lot of us women physicians, we don't qualify for the Roth because we earn too much, but we can do a backdoor Roth. So the Roth differs from the 401k, 403b because we're using after-tax money. But after the money grows and we get to the point where we want to start using the interest that our money is producing, that withdrawal is interest-free. As opposed to the 401k, 403b, when we start to make withdrawals from those accounts, we're paying interest because the money we had put in was pre-tax. We're paying taxes, not interest, taxes. So the Roth, after-tax investments, what we withdraw is tax-free. 401k, 403b, pre-tax investments, and what we withdraw is taxed. However, all along over the years, what we would have paid in taxes is growing along with the other investments. Not to mention with retirement accounts, often your employer will match what you're putting in. So dollar for dollar, that's 100% growth. You can't beat that with a stick. And the pre-tax investing is also a benefit. So which bucket are you going to put your money in? And this depends on the goals that you define, right? If it's retirement, you're going to choose certain buckets. If you're saving for investment, if you're saving for vacation this summer, you're going to choose a different kind of vehicle. This is where wealth reserves live. And as I mentioned before, it might live in real estate equity and in other places. So if you're concentrating on your wealth reserves answers, you should have the answers to these questions. What am I invested in? Is it stocks, single stocks? Is it mutual funds? Am I invested in real estate? What am I invested in? What's in my portfolio? What's the performance? What is my investment making? What are those trailing returns after 10 years, after 20 years, after 15? What are the fees? And I want to stop here to say there's a lot of conversation about fees for investments, fees to financial professionals. Excuse me, hiccups in the morning. The fees matter. You should know what you're paying in fees. Fees are not the main attribute of your investing that's going to make or break your millions. Your millions is going to be made or broken by your consistency, by your investing, and by the performance. But you should know what the fees are. No reason to pay more than market rate for good financial support. And what's your strategy? right? Why do you have as many bonds as you have in your mutual fund portfolio? Um, why are you earning 5% year over year instead of 12% or 13%? These are questions that you should have the answers to when you master your wealth reserves. I do want to introduce you to another tool. So we talked about investor.gov, the compound interest calculator, and now I want to talk about morningstar.com. It's a free website that you can go to in order to analyze your mutual fund investing. So you can plug in the ticker symbol, the 3, 4, 5 digit, 5 character symbol for your mutual fund. In this case, the S&P 500, the ticker is SPX. You plug that in on morningstar.com or the name of the fund. And you can pull up charts, you can pull up graphics like this, the quote, what the fund costs, the performance, which tells you the yield of the fund over time, the interest that's earned. You can look at the risk. You can look at the portfolio. Inside the mutual fund, what are the single stocks inside this particular mutual fund? That's the portfolio. In this example that I pulled up for this talk, you can see that over 10 years, the trailing returns are 12.99% for the S&P 500. I mean, this is average of the road over the past 10 years for the US equity market. So this particular fund, if you bought it, on average, after 10 years, you would earn 12.9% on your money. Right. And what does that mean? How does that translate? Now that you know the performance, the trailing returns, what does that mean? I'm going to introduce you to the rule of 72 in a couple of slides, but here is your simple, streamlined approach to investing. First, you want to establish that you have an emergency fund. If you have debt, that should be 20 to 30% of your monthly income. If you're debt-free, that should be 3 to 6 months of what you need to spend every month, your monthly expenses to support your current lifestyle. So establish an emergency fund, liquid money that you can get your hands on for an emergency only. Leverage cash for large purchases. So stop paying interest to the car companies, to BMW, to Mercedes, to Ford, to Buick. Stop paying them interest. Pay yourself interest, right? And you do this by saving. Over time, you want a car, the car costs $70,000. You save incrementally. While you're saving, you're being paid interest. Then walk into the car dealership, pick out the car that you like. I like buying cars. Pick out the car that you like and pay cash, write a check. And that helps to grow your wealth. Invest 15 to 20% of income consistently if you're debt-free, except for your mortgage. And if you're not debt free, then everything you have over and above your monthly expenses should be going towards becoming debt free. Expect 11% or more from your mutual fund investing returns. You'll notice that during this talk, if you follow me online on LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of my content. I do not spend time talking about credit card interest, credit card rewards. I don't spend time talking about rewards, airline rewards. And the reason is, I'm here to help women physicians grow multiple millions, and you don't grow multiple millions from credit card rewards. Your credit score will never help you earn multiple millions. And so I don't spend a lot of time talking about that. I talk about the big picture things that helps to grow your portfolio. So again, simplify what you're doing, build that liquid saving, leverage cash for large investment, invest consistently, and expect good returns. You can add other vehicles to this. You can add real estate. You can add businesses. If you're nimble with franchises, you can add that. Mutual funds are a steady foundation to build wealth on. So let's talk about the rule of 72 because we talked about performance and what your mutual funds are earning. Here's the rule of 72. You take the number 72, divide it by the interest you're earning on your investments, and that gives you the time it will take for your money to double. And with the rule of 72, we are assuming that what we have invested is what we have invested. We're not adding any money to it, not a cent, what we have invested today. So here's one example. 72 divided by 6% interest rate on mutual funds, it would take 12 years for your money to double. You start off with $1 million. You don't add any money at all. You're earning 6% year over year. After 12 years, you'll have $2 million. Your money would double. Another example, 72 divided by 12% interest. This is your yield on your investing. Now it takes 6 years for your money to double, half the time. You notice that the interest rate is twice as much and your money doubles twice as fast. So instead of doubling in 12 years, that $1 million that you invested didn't add anything to it, is now 2 million after 6 years. There are a couple of caveats here, right? So if you are investing monthly, your money will double faster, right? Because you're adding to it, right? And it's growing from the interest rate. So while this assumes that you're not adding anything, just be aware that if you are investing every month, your money will double even faster. Money doubles faster than you think it does, or slower if you're playing a waiting game, right? So where are you with this? Time will reward you if you're decisive. If you decide that you're done guessing, that you're done avoiding your money, right? All that money that you earn when you go to work, time will reward you. You'll be able to live less stress attached to your money, right? Give more, do the things for your family and community that you thought you were just dreaming about. Because at some point, it's not just about the income you're earning, it's about the assets that you're building. And what work becomes optional when your assets out earn your effort. Every time I use the word retire, I want you to share a definition with me. Retirement is not an age. It's not age 65. It's not 67. It's not 70. Retirement is the day when your assets earn more than you earn when you go to work. At that point, you're retired. At that point, you may choose to work. You're doing it because it's an option, not because you have to. Have you reviewed your investments this year? Yes or no? Here's another client that I want to share with you. When I met her, she was anxious. Every time she talked about her money, it was anxiety. She knew she needed to do something about it. She was earning, she was investing, but she didn't know when she could retire. And what she told me was, I feel like my job owns me. So she walked into work with a lot of heaviness. Within 6 weeks, she knew her full financial picture. She understood where her money was, how it was working. And we discovered that she could be mortgage free, retired in 3 years, mortgage free, living on what she had already invested in 3 years. She's like, Camille, I feel liberated, is what she told me. Her retirement timeline had been cut in less than half, not 7 years, but retiring in 3 years. Next, what I want to, so we talked about financial authority, we talked about debt elimination, wealth reserves, where we spent some time. Now let's talk about legacy, the legacy of your wealth, legacy of that around money. And when we talk about legacy, the first things sometimes that come to mind are wills, trusts, allocating beneficiaries for our assets, holdings, and accounts, which is very important. Not paying attention to this is not responsible. But the legacy that we're already creating around money, or true legacy that already exists, is our attitude around wealth, our attitude around our finances and money, how we're living our life. What does generosity look like? What does the impact on our family and our communities, what does that look like today? What has it been looking like over your working career? What does your home feel like when the topic of money comes up, right? I was going to bed last night. My son came into my room. Mom, we're taking a field trip. You haven't paid for it yet. I need basketball shoes, right? When those topics come up, what does it feel like? Does it feel like stress? Does it feel like conversations that nobody wants to have? How do you interact with your loved ones around money, giving, your community? What does that feel like? What do your children see and hear when it comes to wealth creation? And if you're struggling, if you don't know what the legacy is that you've built so far, if you don't know the answers to these questions, ask the ones who are closest to you. They'll tell you, show you what your legacy is already. And the opportunity here is to build a legacy from intention, to have less stress around your money, to be secure, to know that your income, your paychecks are doing exactly what they need to do to build that portfolio that will support you when you're retired, that will generate what you're making when you go to work. So to recap, we spent time talking about financial authority, where you're stepping into control of your wealth decisions. We talked about debt and some of the mindset behind eliminating debt. We talked about building wealth reserves, which is really the foundation of a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And I shared a simple approach for growing wealth over time, consistently investing over time. And we talked about the legacy blueprint. And now I want to spend some time talking about how you can work with me. I find that a lot of doctors are not really secure yet. They're kind of guessing. They're like, I'm putting money away, so I'll have enough when I'm retired. And they fail to retire with multiple millions because they don't have a clear plan. Right? We are experts at plans. We're expert at it. We do it when we manage patients with CHF. We do it when we give a patient a nutrition plan to lead a healthy life. We're experts at planning. When we're teaching the residents how to create a good note, a good, good medical documentation, it's all around a plan. But we're stuck believing that we have an income problem when we do not. And we have inconsistent execution sometimes. So we start investing, then we stop. We start investing, we accrue a certain amount, and then we dip into our retirement savings, which should never happen. We should never be compromising our future selves, right? And we fall back on old patterns, although we know they're not serving us. These are some of the pitfalls for women physicians that prevent us from retiring with multiple millions. And you do not have to do this alone. You don't have to create your wealth alone. I have shared a link for connecting with me. I am offering you, if you're here watching this replay, a free 60-minute strategy session with me where we won't generalize, but we will build a plan for you to create multiple millions based on your current wealth picture. And you can ask me all the questions that you have. You have my expertise for a whole 60 minutes. Because after a talk like this, you get revved up, you get motivated. I know this is what I need to do. I'm aware I'm not doing it consistently. Then you go back to your life and all the things that prevented you, all the thoughts that prevented you from doing it in the first place, re-enter the picture, right? Instead of investing, you start delegating decisions and hoping it's okay. Instead of leading your wealth, you start postponing decision making. And so you don't have to do it alone. I'm here to coach you, to help you get to that next level. We get rapid progress in our finances, not from increased intelligence, but through having a precise plan to apply to our money, frameworks that are quick and make decisions easy, and consistently following through without being distracted. So I am offering you a complimentary wealth strategy session. And in the 60-minute session, we'll review your financial position, assess how efficiently you're investing, and discuss the exact steps. I'll tell you the exact steps you need to take to get you on your multi-million-dollar trajectory. It gets very specific. And I told you that if you stuck with me till the end, I have a bonus. So to be completely transparent, the co-design in the Physicians Wealth School is the one-on-one advisory where you work with me in Zoom sessions over a 4-month period, creating your money plan and executing it. There's no homework in between. We do everything that you need to do. I teach you everything you need to learn in these sessions on the calls. It's a $10,000 investment. There are very flexible payment options, including 4-part payment, all kinds of different options that might work for you and what you feel comfortable with. And the bonus is that if you watch this replay and you book a sales call with me, reference this replay, you book your 60-minute strategy session, and you decide that you want to work together, you'll get an additional session with me where I'll show you how over the next 12 to 24 months, you'll increase your net worth by $300,000. Okay, so I'll show you the exact steps in this 60-minute session. You need to book, reference this talk, and you'll get that extra session. So, this is deep work. When I work with physicians, we make big moves with your money. I am all about simplicity. It's not about complicated. I think if you're in a complicated money situation right now and you're doing 6 different things, some of them you understand, some you don't, you're really having a scattered effort and you're leaving tens of thousands on the table. It's about simplicity. You notice during this talk, I didn't say anything about pick up 2 more shifts because more shifts makes you tired, more fatigued. It makes you more frustrated. It does not create wealth. And please, let's connect. So if you're not already connected with me on LinkedIn, you can find me, Camille Upchurch, on LinkedIn, and we can talk with each other on the DMs after we're connected in the DMs. Thank you so much for spending time with me here, and I look forward to helping you grow multiple millions.